to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
It's Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today, a very interesting story, a heavy story for sure. Uprooted, coming to Discovery Plus. We have the woman who's, I believe the story is about her brother, Sherri Warren, with us today. Sherri Warren, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
And this is a story about your brother.
Yes.
But give us, I hate to ask you to relive this, but
please.
Break down the whole documentary for us.
So I'll try to be succinct. In 1986, my brother was found strung up on a tree in Montgomery County, Maryland. And at the time, the police tried to convince us that it was suicide. However, we knew different. And through the years and through time, truth will always be revealed. It has come to find out that it's a cover-up. On what scale? Not sure. However, there is nothing medically, scientifically, or factually that the police can show me that my brother put himself up on the tree. But I can show you medically, factually, and scientifically how he didn't. And my request has been very simple. Up until 2009, my mother was the face of this fight because that's what she did. And she had a different approach. Her approach was she thought because she was a Black single female in Montgomery County in the 80s and 90s, she had to have this face of non-threatening Black woman
That's right.
that would be accepting and that they would welcome.
A non-threatening Negro strategy.
There you go. And I sat on the side. That was not my strategy, but I didn't want to get in her way because that's how she handled it.
You're from a different generation.
Absolutely. And so when she passed away unexpectedly in 2009, I said at her grave, I said, now that you have now get your rest, it's now my turn. And I'm going to do it my way. And my way, can I curse or no? Are we
Go ahead.
Yes.
I mean, it's all right. We'll figure it out.
Okay. My way is I don't give a shit. I have lost everything. They have taken everything from me. The day my brother died, the day my brother died, my mother started losing life. She was trying to fight a system that wasn't trying to work with her. It was working against her. The police departments, they pick and choose who they feel is important. And that is actually going on today with that Lawrence Smith field case in Connecticut. They pick and choose who they feel like is important enough to put some resources into.
Well, and Sherri, I'll point out for the audience too, there's been several murders, lynching specifically, but other types of murder, like the young man, I believe this was down in Georgia, that they found wrapped up in a wrestling gym mat.
Kendrick Johnson.
Yeah, and that they wanted to say that was somehow some sort of suicide or something like that. And that's been, that investigation I think still continues. There were some cases here in the area, and there was a period, I think it was like last year or maybe the year before, where there were several people found hanging. A family did reach out to us and tell us that their brother, it was a suicide, and that family said, yes, that is what happened. But I've always had issue and spoke vocally on this on the air around the way these hangings of Black men around the nation. There was some down around LA too. Remember that?
Yeah.
And there was a whole protest about it and the whole thing, where these hangings continue to happen. And oftentimes families are like, look, this is not a suicide. The authorities paint the picture of the individual to be, they bring up their record, or they bring up maybe some behavioral things they had in high school, or some little, incident or whatever, to try to make it look like the person had some mental health issues, and would go as far as hanging themselves high up in a tree. And everyone's like, well, how did this person even get up there?
Sherri, can I dig in a little bit more on the specifics of this? Because I'm from Montgomery County, grew up there at that exact time. So where specifically was your brother found?
Okay, so let me put two things here. So, Ebro, to your point about the hanging part, my brother, if there's pictures online, and I caution people, I've seen them for the last 20-something years. I'm okay with them. I don't know how they got there. I didn't put them there, but they are official police photos of my brother strung up on the tree. He's not hanging. He's literally strung up. His feet are on the ground. Okay, that's number one. He has leaves on his back of his shirt that you can see in the pictures, right? The noose is caught up in his collar of his shirt. So he was literally, and on top of that, they tried to convince me that my brother took a change of clothes because the clothing that he has on the tree is not the clothing that we got back in 1986. The clothing the things that I have in my house today, which is his blue hoodie jacket, duffel bag, ripped up duffel bag he used to carry tapes in, a Jimi Hendrix hat, and brown construction boots. That's the last things my mom saw him leave the house in. What he has on the tree, I don't recognize, and I don't know what they are. And the police tried to tell me, literally straight-faced in my several meetings with them, that my brother took a change of clothes because he wanted to be casket sharp to go hang himself in the middle of the night using 2 trees and an elaborate rope configuration. But I digress. Rosenberg, to your question, it happened all the way up. If you're familiar with Georgia and Belpre and Leisure World.
Aspen Hill area.
Aspen Hill area, yes. Glenmont, right behind Leisure World. Georgian Colonies is the name of the development. But
so can you tell us about Keith? Like in your going back to 1986, was your brother troubled in any way?
Right. That's what I wanted to ask too, Sherri.
Okay.
Did he suffer from mental health issues or anything that they might try to throw your way to say, well, he was suffering from this, or you know what I mean? Like what tell us about him.
So in 1986, let me start here first. On July 31st at 1:30 on the afternoon of July 31st, there was nothing at that crime scene that said that my brother committed suicide. There was nothing. It was just his body. But the detective took it upon himself to release the body to the funeral home of his choice and then ordered an embalming, no autopsy. So we didn't even ID the body. Once we ID the body 24 hours later, he had been embalmed. So there was no autopsy. But that was at the call of the police department. But I'll go into that later. Keith did have an anxiety attack in 1985, which had nothing to do, and that's a more he just had an issue with my dad's second wife. I did too, but I, as you can see, speak my mind. My brother didn't. He held a lot of things in. He didn't have, the police used his 1985 incident, which supposedly they do nothing about in 1986. They didn't find that out until after they sent the body to the funeral home of their choice. They want to fall back on that as a reason for the actions that the detective took at the time. And when I asked the question, where is it? Why were they able to send the body to the funeral home of their choice? I was told in 2014, 18, 16, and 20 that it was policy and procedure in 1986 for police to release the body to the funeral home of their choice. And I said, I call bullshit, because my brother could have been Muslim. He could have been Jewish. You don't know what he was. So how you picking and choosing where we want him to go, right? Then I asked for a copy of this policy and procedure. I want to see it. Show me the policy and procedure handbook from 1986, because what police departments do now is that they will hide behind policy and procedure when they do wrong. See, between policy and procedure and police unions, all of them need to be rectified, but I digress. There is not one copy in the state of Maryland of the policy and procedure handbook, because I asked for it under the Maryland Public Information Act and the Freedom of Information Act. I asked for a copy of it. There's not one electric or hard copy of this book that I can go back and reference that shows me that was policy. Even to extend my point, a month after we buried him, the tree was cut down. We didn't know the tree was cut down because they didn't tell us, right? The detective took it upon himself to go on private property and cut the tree down, supposedly collecting evidence. Okay, one, why are you collecting evidence if you close cases of suicide? Number one. Number two, show me the requisition that this detective had to authorization to go on private property and cut a tree down. There isn't one, by the way. Okay, show me pictures of the tree that he went to go cut down to get to look at the branch. There aren't any. Now, the significance of that is I just recently found out is he was trying to get to the branch to destroy the branch, because the branch could show you evidence-wise which way the rope was going up or down. So he had to get to the branch because my mom at that point started kicking up dust. So when we found out he cut the tree down, which by the way, the detective was white, the officer was black. Note. When my mother found out the tree was cut down, she demanded a meeting with the detective. And in this meeting, I'm not going to give you all, I'm not going to go into the details of how we had to finally get this meeting, but I wasn't going to let her go by herself. This man sat in this meeting because she demanded him to reopen the case since you collected evidence, right? This individual, I was going to use another word, said to her, had you been a better mother, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Wow.
What person tells a woman who just lost her child? So at that time, I tried to go for him, right? Long story. And he going to tell my mom, you better control that one. That one? Oh, I was like, yeah, I got to go because I'm going to jail today. But yeah, so I digress.
Well, all of this, and the chaos and confusion, that families go through when these scenarios take place, is intended to be kind of like a 3-card Monte situation where you can't really get the discovery and the information that you want. Why? Is it because they're protecting individuals like we see in the Ahmaud Arbery case, where these individuals have relationships with district attorneys, et cetera, and they can cover up, they have relationships with elected officials, chief of police, et cetera, and are they covering up some sort of murderous circle of individuals who are out here hanging and killing black men because they want to keep black families in fear? Was it just an isolated incident where if they open up this case, how many other cases do they have to open up now?
Bingo. Pandora's box.
Right. And most of the time, that is the issue. And probably all the above. And we're talking about a nation that is riddled with hiding the truth. That is what this country does at the national level all the way down to each municipality. Is not want to deal with individuals in communities who are powerful, who have a history of this type of behavior, and want to really eradicate it because they don't want to have to deal with the burden of it. And it's easy to throw the burden off on black families.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is a documentary or is multiple
Docuseries.
Docuseries.
Yeah, it's a
and this is on three-part docuseries on Discovery Plus, and Discovery Channel. And this is available now.
Tomorrow. They're going to release all 3 tomorrow. We did a screening last night, but they're going to release all 3 episodes tomorrow. And going back to Rosenberg, to your question about my brother, he was a black white boy. So all of his friends were white. I've always believed. And
I knew that when you said Jimi Hendrix hat.
Okay. And they didn't like me. I didn't like them. And it's okay. But it's interesting that prior to him leaving the house on that Tuesday, they were always in my house, on my phone, on my floor, in my refrigerator, right? The time he was missing, nobody came around and nobody called. And then my mom called the one friend that we thought was a friend, by the way, air quotes. And he said, I know where he is. I'll go get him. And then he's found on the tree the next day. So, yeah, to your point, Ebro, people there's a lot of strange relationships and connections, and I don't put nothing past nobody. So I don't.
Now, did that friend or any of these individuals have relationships with powerful individuals in y'all's community?
Well, I can't say yes or no. I've been trying to figure it out, but it's interesting. You can't find much about the detective online. To answer your question, I'm not sure. I'm trying.
What high school did y'all go to?
John F. Kennedy.
Yo, it's just so crazy that I don't know this story, and
it's
just weird. It's crazy.
Just like police departments pick and choose what they want to talk about, local media picks and choose what they want to cover.
That's right.
What they don't want to do, what local media don't want to do, and this was told to me by a Washington Post reporter back in 2012. They don't want to piss the police off because
they'll lose their access. The same thing happens in New York City too.
There you go. So local media has to also have the responsibility to step up and say, F you, we're going to talk about this because it needs to be talked about. Because at this point in time, there's too much out here to see that you cannot cover up anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Of
you
course.
can't hide behind it anymore.
Right. Well, and also, because of activism, because of social media, where we are today is very different. And you said this was 86?
86.
Right.
Yeah.
Sherri, nobody was questioned?
Nobody. They didn't talk to anybody. They closed that case. The moment they found his body they closed it as classified as a suicide. And then the detective called the coroner because the coroner never came to the scene. And you want to know how I know? Because on the coroner's report, next to the box where it says pronounced, it's the police officer's name. If the coroner was on the scene, why is the police officer pronouncing him dead? That's number one. Detective, the way it flows, the detective called the coroner and said, yeah, go ahead and just rule this as a suicide, and I'm gonna send the body to Collins funeral home. And the coroner said, cool, fine with me. Yeah.
And so have you had access at this point with this docuseries out and you continuing to get to the truth of what happened to your brother?
Oh no.
Are you
They
no access to any of these people?
No, listen, I've written, and this is the other part, I'm glad you said that. I want people to go vote and understand how important your vote is. Don't just vote for the president, vote for your county executives, vote for your legislators, your delegates, vote for the chief of police, whoever, mayor, make sure you
Sheriff,
go.
all
of that, because that counts. Because I reached out, you name the person, I have probably got an email, text, tweet, DM to them. The only person in a county level because I don't live in Montgomery County, thank God. But Hans Reamer is a county councilman for Montgomery County. He's the only executive in that county. The state's attorney has avoided me for 12 years. That person will not acknowledge me. I have reached out, John McCarthy. I have reached out to him. I've called him. I've emailed him. He will not meet with me. And I don't know why. But you're running for re-election. So I hope all the citizens of Montgomery County understand this man won't even acknowledge me. So what happens? What if it happens to your family? It's your tax dollars, not mine. No, I'm paying PG tax though. Yeah.
I'm glad you can laugh, Sherri Warren, and I'm glad that I'm glad that it's a blessing that you're able to get to this point and still have fight. You know how many families can't take it, go crazy, are emotionally broken, trying to fight to find the truth, and listen, none of this is going to bring your brother back, but it is going to get closure for your family. And also, and I don't even know if you've thought about this, but the families out there who are dealing with this and don't know how to go about who to reach out to and what to do. And the fact that these cases are just unresolved and in many ways swept under the rug of getting to the bottom of it.
Can I say this before we go? I want people to know to utilize the libraries, utilize Freedom of Information Act, and Maryland is called the Maryland Public Information Act. Utilize every tool that you have. For me, I just utilize social media because it's free. I don't have money like that. My family's not rich, but utilize the tools and keep talking about it. The way Discovery found me, the way now this Matt McDonough found me was because I was going back and forth. He heard it on a podcast, and he also was following me on these message boards where these crime sleuths talk about cases that they ain't got no. I think a bunch of old law enforcement sit on these message boards and give their opinions. So I was going back and forth with one of them. I almost got kicked off the board. That's no conversation. And so he was like, I got to meet her. And so that's how it was a 5-year journey to get here, but we're here. So yeah. So just don't give up. If you know in your heart, the justice system in the state of Maryland is not a system of justice that works for my family. And I'm going to fix that. And I hope that my struggle and my battle helps other people, encourages them to also continue to fight.
The other layer to this that we always have to remember is in America, in so many communities, there is so much fear to show corruption, to show flaws, because everybody wants to be from this perfect, exceptional community that's low in crime to protect property value and protect people wanting to move there. So they never want to talk about the problems. They
Exactly.
never want to talk about the sickness that is it's a part of the fabric of this society. And your brother, like many other hangings, lynchings around this nation, right? Because sociopathic, psychopathic, murderous white men are out here feeling some type of way, and they love terrorizing black people and black families.
Mm-hmm. And I've told them, I'm not my mama, so you're not gonna catch that niceness. You're gonna catch this mouth. And if anything's happened to me, y'all better burn something down, because I promise you, I ain't gonna do nothing to myself. So there's that. But to your point, people, but there, and let me just say this. There are good officers out there. There are those that put on that uniform and wear that badge and take their oath seriously. But they need to call out the bad ones. And these police unions need to stop protecting them as well. Like, it's got to be transparency all across the board. And you can't continue to hide behind that blue wall, because that's what my mom kept hitting in 1986 up until she died, was that blue wall. And until they cycle out, because that old regime is still there, until they cycle out, it's still going to probably be that blue wall. But it's okay, because I got a lot of life left in me and I got a lot of mouth. So yeah.
And this show is gonna get you a lot of allies and jog a lot of memories. So we'll do everything we can to spread the word. I know I will, because I have people from Maryland, Montgomery County specifically, who follow me. So I will definitely do everything I can to spread the word. It's important people see this.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It is called Uprooted. That's the title on Disney Plus, or excuse me, Discovery Plus. Sherri, thank you for your time today, and God bless you, and big hugs for you, and whatever it takes to keep that fight in you, keep it going.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all's time.
Good luck, Sherri. Thank you.
Take care. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.